Welcome to Hindu Lounge, Utsada. Welcome.
Namaste,
And
Ajay Bhai, and thank you for another round.
another round, Utsada. This is Hindu Lounge number 43.
43.
And I guess it's a pink day at Utsav Chakravarti home.
It is a pink day at our home. Yes.
That's right. And you know why? Because the Women's Month is starting tomorrow. So I think it's very appropriate that you and Maya Durga are all dressed in pink, right?
Yeah, Maya Durga and myself, we decided to coordinate
It's very nicely
our colors
coordinated. So,
today.
Namaste, Maya. Welcome.
Namaskar, Namaskar, Maya. Namaskar, Maya does
Namaskar.
Namaskar
See, there
here.
you go. Very nice, smiley Namaskar. So, Utsoda, welcome to Hindu Lounge. For those people who are joining us for the first time today, I want to welcome everyone. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is a program on contemporary American Hindu issues. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pack, which is a policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America. And I am Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. And with me, as every week, is Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsav Chakrabarti is the executive director of Hindu Pact, and we come live every week at 11 o'clock Eastern on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. And the first 2 minutes of this show, what you heard today, was a custom tune that was created just for this episode. So we've been getting custom tune and we're getting spoiled on this. Every single week, we're getting a new custom tune, and it's created by Bharat and Padma Jayaraman. So I cannot thank them enough. They put a lot of effort in, and it's an amazing tune. So also that I want to thank Bharat and Padma for creating this awesome custom tune just for Hindu Lounge. And with that, so that I think we have a couple of exciting topics today. The first topic that we have, let me stop sharing. I don't know why I was in a sharing mode, so let me stop sharing. Um, and let me just say that we have exciting topics today, right? The first topic is you represented Hindu Pact at one of the interfaith meetings in Washington DC yesterday, I believe, and you're going to give us a report out on that meeting as to what you did and what you said over there and how the meeting went. And after that, the topic of the week, and the topic of the week, Utsoda, no surprise, the whole week people have been talking about Neera Tanden, and we talked about Neera Tanden a little bit when she was nominated, and now we are going to talk a lot more about Neera Tanden. And the question we are going to ask is Twitter going to tank the Tanden nomination? Okay, so that's the question we are going to that's the question that Utsoda we are going to explore. Is Twitter going to tank uh, the Tandon nomination? And right now, if I'm Neera Tandon, this is what I'm thinking. But Utsoda, before we go there, before we talk about Neera Tandon, let's talk about your, because I want to make sure that you know we have people just kind of settle in and wait and anticipate this topic. Utsada, tell us about the interfaith meeting that you went to yesterday. And by the way, I want to remind everyone that this is a dial-in show. Please call in, please join the conversation. We would love to hear what you have to say. So please call, please opine, and I'm going to post the call-in numbers and links on the chat. Go ahead, Utsada, all yours.
Thank you, Ajay Bhai. Thank you, everybody. And thanks for joining Hindu Lounge number 43. It's been an amazing run so far. So I want to start by thanking Vivek Gupta, my friend here in Washington, DC, a very active young Hindu-American professional who invited me to the Interfaith Council and in Washington, DC as a speaker, and to speak on the issue of discrimination faced by American Hindus. And the reason I want to mention Vivek Gupta is that, usually in interfaith events, because Hindus are not big donors to these interfaith councils, they are usually neglected. In most cases, they are not even invited. But give full credits to Vivek Gupta. Vivek has spent the last 3 years working assiduously with the Interfaith Council in the Washington DC region, and slowly and steadily he has managed to bring in a prominent presence for the American Hindu community, where despite a very strong Islamic influence in that group, a very strong Christian influence in that group, he has been able to bring a sound voice for the Hindu community there. So full credits to Vivek Gupta. In fact, I would go on the record to say that we should actually invite Vivek Gupta for one of our shows to specifically address the rest of the American Hindu community in other parts of America on ways and methods to get involved in the interfaith events, because Vivek has set up a template which is worth looking at. So congrats, Vivek, for doing a fantastic job. And thank you for giving me that opportunity yesterday. If you are listening to the show, I know Vivek sometimes listens in. Thank you for what you do. So yesterday we got an opportunity to speak about discriminations faced by Hindu community in America. And the way I broke it, I had about 5 minutes to speak, so it wasn't much time, but still, I was able to break down the discriminations we face under 4 categories. Number one, the ethno-racial discrimination that Hindus face. So it's basically discrimination because of the way they look or speak or dress. It's very typical in America, because it's a very diverse country. You have discrimination often directed at people on the basis of their skin color, on the basis of how they look, how they speak, how they dress. And that is unique, not unique to Hindus. It's there in all communities, but Hindus are very much targeted by that. In fact, in yesterday's event, the Muslim speaker actually claimed that a Muslim was pushed in front of a train for the way he looked in subway in New York. Actually, it was a Hindu who faced that attack, and actually he passed away because of that. So that's the one of the big causes why Hindus are discriminated against. But then there are other ones that are very unique to Hindus, and that puts Hindus in even more vulnerable positions. And that's the theological baggage that many other faith systems carry. When I say theological baggage, I mean, words and phrases like kafir and words and phrases like heathen that are very, very integral to fundamental religious dogma, religious scriptural dogma in many other religions. The word kafir is very popularly used in Islam. Those typical phrases and words make Hindus even more vulnerable, because often Hindus are treated and considered heathen or kafirs, depending on which belief system you're dealing with, which adds an extra layer of hate and discrimination targeted at Hindus. So I spoke about that yesterday at the Interfaith and Council, and I also tried to bring up a methodology to deal with it, to have an honest discussion on the word kafir, for example. Because if we do not have an honest discussion on what it means and who it is targeted towards, we will have more hate and discrimination against Hindus, not just in America, but around the world. Then the third issue that I brought up yesterday was the issue of geopolitical bias. Because America is a country of immigrants, it has immigrants from different parts of the world who bring their baggages of geopolitical hate and distrust with them. So, whether it is the issue of Article 370 in Kashmir, whether it's the issue of Hindus in India giving refugee status to religious minorities in other countries of the Indian subcontinental region, there are people who bring that baggage, that dislike for Hindus to America, and they run campaigns in America targeted at lawmakers in America, which causes hatred against Hindus amongst common population, because the media picks it up, the social media talks about it. It creates an atmosphere of fear that is targeted against Hindus. So geopolitical bias was the third reason that I brought up for discrimination against Hindus. And then the last one, but not certainly the least important one, is the fact that in every region in America, there are localized socio-economic tensions. And that is, again, not the first one and the last one are not specific to Hindus. Every community goes through it. Every community that is upwardly mobile economically and socially, that that tries to make a good living faces this kind of localized socio-economic tension that often translates to discrimination. Owning a successful gas station, owning a successful shop, owning a successful business can lead to individualized dislike and discriminations. So I summed up the causality of discrimination against American Hindu communities under these four categories. Number one, ethno-racial discrimination. Number two, theological baggage, words like kafir and heathen. Number three, geopolitical bias, CAA Article 370, misguided attacks on India. Localized socioeconomic tensions was number four. So having discussed those four issues, I talked about how it manifests itself in the American society. It manifests itself in the form of violence, street violence, violence directed towards homes and property. It manifests itself in the form of misrepresentation in school textbooks, lack of understandings of very fundamental tenets like polytheism versus monotheism, uh, jnana yoga versus devotion. You know, my way or the highway approach causes a huge problem amongst many other belief systems. Leads to bullying in schools, leads to real gross misinterpretation of the Varna Jati system and misappropriating, misconstruing it with caste and race and all. And that's a big problem that's causing a lot of hate towards American Hindus. And then, of course, the media bias, social media bias, mainstream media bias, actually, that comes with it. So these were the manifestations that we brought about. I should have mentioned city council resolutions. I should have mentioned discrimination at job, workplace, all those things as well. But I had 5 minutes, so kind of summed it up in this manner. That's it, Ajay bhai. You're there, Ajay bhai? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Your sound is gone. I can't hear you still. Your sound is gone.
Wait a minute. Okay, hold on.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I was just going to do. I was just applauding you for doing it.
Your sound is gone again. Yeah.
Okay. So let me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So what was the reaction?
Ajay bhai, the reaction was very interesting because I think one thing I noticed is that amongst the audience there was appreciation because uh, not many people mentioned some of the topics I brought up as causes of discrimination. Not many people bring up the issue of doctrinal discrimination like kafir and heathen, because people are afraid to discuss the problem points, the differences. They always like to bring up the similarities and play goody-goody in these kinds of events. So I think it was well taken. It was appreciated, especially by the audience. Uh, I think the other panelists kind of avoided it because, if you are a Muslim panelist, why would you want to talk about addressing the issue of kafirs? So, and I think,
That's a honest assessment, right? I mean, but there's no.
yeah, it is. So interfaith events are often a civilized projections of one's own biases. That's what I have noticed. So whatever the belief system follows and practices in terms of more unrefined methodologies in the outside world, often gets refined and often gets presented as a more civilized package in the interfaith system, interfaith dialogue, which is obviously a better way of representing and dealing with differences and similarities. But it still remains the same. Like the Muslim panelists will not go and talk about kafirs, the issue of kafirs or the issue of jihad, for example. They will try to move around it and do stuff like. But our goal again is to bring up issues that are very fundamental in nature, then that lead to violence and distrust in the larger society, and that's what I was trying to do.
That's excellent. So that I want to share with you a couple of things because as Hindu Pact and our companion project, right? So we have Hindu Pact and we also have American Hindus Against Defamation. So two projects that we do that run simultaneously. One is a project. One is an initiative which is in the arena of policy research and advocacy, which is Hindu Pact, and then there is another one which is out against the discrimination of Hindus in public spaces and mischaracterization of Hindu idols or icons, and by just calling idols instead of calling deities, and representing the deities in a negative portrayal, and in commercialization of Hindu iconography and things like that. So that initiative is called AHAD, or American Hindus Against Defamation. And American Hindus Against Defamation, in partnership with Dharma Civilization Foundation, or DCF, is now doing a monthly webinar series on Hindu Dvesha, which is loosely translated as Hindu hate. And it's a systemic Hindu phobia. That's the other translation for it. And we do this webinars every month. Started last month, and it happens that there is a webinar today at 8 p.m. Eastern on the same channels where you're watching Hindu Lounge, and it's coming today. So let me share my screen and project this for you, and tell our audience that please do join. This is the Hindu Dvesha, or systemic Hindu phobia webinar number 2, and organized by Hindu Pact and Dharma Civilization Foundation. And the topic for today is the colonial roots of Hindu Dvesha. Who started it and when did it start? And so the I'm going to post the link for people to register and sign up for this webinar. Again, this webinar is happening tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock Pacific. So that is not the only thing we are doing, and we are again on the identity, a closely related issue to Hindu Dvesha, or systemic Hindu phobia, is Hindu identity, and you alluded to that quite a bit, and that that Hindu identity is even more important for the teenagers and those who are in the early 20s and where they're going to high schools and colleges. And Hindu Pact is organizing uh, this identity and challenges among second generation Hindus. And this is a event that is happening. This is an event that is happening on next Saturday, March 6th, between 4 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I will be posting the URL for registration on the chat as well. You can see that Preeti Upala, who was the moderator for our gala event, is a keynote speaker, and at this event, along with Siddharth Jayanti, a remarkable PhD student who composes and bhajans and in Sanskrit, and does and is an expert in Sanskrit in addition to being an engineering PhD student. And the moderators are Devina Manik and Anish Sundaram. So, and there are two panels. So the one is a college youth panel, a college panel. The other one is a high school panel, and we have exceptional participants in the panel, including Rutvij Hole, who has been closely associated with Hindu Pact and is one of the first in the first batch of interns that Hindu Pact has onboarded. So that quite a bit of work from Hindu Pact on the issue of Hindu phobia and Hindu identity that is just unfolding. And I think participation in the your participation in the Interfaith Council meeting is yet another aspect of it. And I'm so glad that we are kind of in every aspect of uh, projection of the true Hindu identity in America. Hindu Pact is able to play its role. So that I want to, once again, thank you for all the great work that you have done. I think I want to use this same theme of Hindu identity and maybe add a little bit of Indian identity to this. And Utsuda, if let me stop sharing because I'm going to a different topic now. So let me stop share and ask you this question, Utsuda. If you are a Hindu in America and you actually have admit, you actually are not, shy of saying that you're a Hindu in America and you're of Indian origin, and you get nominated for a cabinet position. Really, the first Indian and the first Hindu, not necessarily the same. There could be a non-Indian Hindu, but really no Hindu, regardless of their ethnicity, nationality, national origin, has ever been nominated to the cabinet. So you are an Indian origin, a person, you are a Hindu, you get nominated for the cabinet, and so you don't get, your nomination is in trouble. And you would think that, all the Hindus, all the Indians would be out on the street, kicking and screaming and saying, this person, and you know who we are talking about, right? Neera Tanden has to have the nomination. Utsada, why are the Hindus and why are the Indians not on the street? Now, to be fair, let me share the screen. Uh, there is uh, there is a tweet that was sent out, and this is a tweet from Eric Swalwell, and he said, "I represent one of the largest Indian American districts in the U.S. Now, I used to live in this district or close to it. How do I look at what's happening to at Neera Tanden and tell the little girls of South Asian descent that they'll have the same opportunities in life as white men? The answer is I can't, and that's a shame." Now, there was another tweet that he said specifically about Indian Americans, and then he had another tweet that says South Asians, but regardless. And then News India also had, there's an article from News India, there's an article from other places, which, kind of talks about the identity politics and such. But really, Utsuda, if all that is true, wouldn't the Hindus be out on the street and doing marches in every city in America on Sunday and rooting for Neera Tanden? So where are the Hindus? Why are they not out on the street and supporting Neera Tanden? What is going on? Why is she not getting the Hindu support? Is the nomination in trouble?
I love your background musics, Ajay bhai. Uh, so I think there is a hint to what the to your question just in the tweets that were sent out and then deleted and resent by Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell sends out a tweet first about what would young Indian American girls be thinking about Meera Tanden's appointment being stopped. He then deletes the tweet and changes the Indian American to South Asian. I think this is a symptom of toolkit Twitter. He probably tweeted it mentioning Indian American because that's the logical tweet. Neera Tanden is an Indian American. But somewhere back at the offices of Democratic Party, who churned the wheels of toolkit journalism, went back to Swalwell and said, hey, you should turn Indian American into South Asian because that's the identity politics we are playing here. So Swalwell retweets with South Asian written there, even though half the South Asian narrative people actually oppose Indian Americans. So the reason Neera Tanden is not able to gain any support from the Hindu American community, and to some extent even a large section of the Indian American community, is because she has been playing this identity politics that has become the hallmark of Democratic Party, especially left-leaning Democratic Party politicians. And the irony here is that despite playing this politics for so long as an establishment person, Democratic Party leader in Washington DC, who is embedded in the so-called deep swamp of Washington DC politics, Neera Tanden threw Hindu Americans under the bus on more than one occasion because that was the politics her party was playing. She went against. She actually alienated Hindu Americans and Indian Americans with her statements on Article 370 in Kashmir, with her statements on CAA, with her statements on India in general. And I know why she did that. She did that because that was the line her extreme left liberal colleagues were taking.
So, so
But
this is
despite
what
taking that line, she has not been able to garner their support for her appointment, because at the end of the day, she's still a Hindu American, and they will still, the reasons why they discriminate against India by spreading false information on Article 370 and CAA is also the reason why at the end of the day they will treat her like a Hindu and not support her, despite her doing everything to make them happy.
yeah.
So I think this is a moment of awakening, I must say, for Neera Tanden, and I am not sure if she's even listening to us, or
So,
for that
so that
matter.
we'll get into that detail in
Yeah.
a second. But I want to highlight this particular article that came out, in Politico, and it says Team Biden taps Asian American groups to help save Tandon. And it's not that, and this is the identity politics that I guess you were alluding to, because this kind of, if you look at some of the quotes here that I've highlighted for you, those groups are calling, so the Asian American groups, now they're broadening the identity a little bit to get more support. Those groups are calling and sending letters to Senate offices and advocating for Tandon on social media. Again, it's just social media, right? Nobody is really like, you know, gung ho about it. Structure advocating for Tandon on social media to try combat what they are calling structural racism and institutional racism. Their efforts have been actively encouraged by the White House and presidential transition staff, which remains in place to help with the Senate confirmation along with the DNC. And then it says, it is incredibly frustrating to watch because we are talking about individuals who are preeminently qualified, but also coming from communities that have been screaming at the top of their lungs to be visible and valued by this country. Now, first of all, there's no screaming at the top of the lungs. I haven't heard anyone do that. I have seen social media campaign, and I have seen, uh, you know, I have seen, the participation in television talk shows and such, but nothing beyond that. So is opposing? Let me ask you a much harder question. Do you see opposition to Neera Tanden as uh, institutional racism?
It depends on what basis it's being done. And I believe there would be certain lawmakers and senators who might be opposing her just because she's a Hindu woman of color. So there might be lawmakers who might be opposing her because she's a Hindu woman of color, daughter of Indian immigrants. That would be enough for some to oppose her. But let's not lose sight of the fact that she's no friend of the Hindu woman of color anyway. She has never been one, and that is, I think, a nuanced narrative we have to understand and accept. Even though, because now not the days of nuanced politics. They have not been this for the last 10 years. Nobody believes in political nuances anymore. It's all about this way or that way in some extreme form, and therefore it's easy to muddle the conversation by bringing in race and all the other identity politics that comes with it. That's the unfortunate scenario where American politics has gone down to. But at the end of the day, it might be true that some people are opposing her, some lawmakers are opposing her because she's a Hindu woman of color. But it is also true that as a Hindu woman of color, she has been throwing Hindus under the bus for time immemorial. So
Yeah, talk about that. Let's talk about that. Who did she throw under the bus?
she threw Hindu women in Pakistan and Afghanistan under the bus.
Well, no, but she also threw someone in America under the bus.
She did
And
throw, yeah, she
and who
she
who
did
is
throw
who are we
Tulsi
referring
Gabbard
to?
under
So
the
let's
bus, and she was actually the attack dog from the Democratic Party's mainstream who attacked Tulsi Gabbard and tore her apart. So, you know,
so
I
she
don't know
was
if
actually as a Hindu American, she was actually deputed to tear down another Hindu American, and she gladly played that role. Correct?
absolutely. So I
And
know, I think I think our listeners, and if possible, if Neera is out there listening to us, or anybody known to her is listening to us, there is comeuppance at the end of the day somewhere. And as much as we would like to see that there is absolutely no discrimination against Neera on the basis of her being a Hindu as well as an Indian American woman of color, it is probably true at the same time that she has not been a friend of the community. In fact, she has been quite the opposite. And it's an irony that those people who used her against Indo Americans are now ditching her at this moment.
Yeah, it is because, and she could, if she had been, and she had challenged Tulsi on several grounds, and uh, almost came, I wouldn't say that she questioned her being Hindu or something like that, but she certainly, when Tulsi used the word Hindu, and Neera's counter was, well, I'm also a Hindu, but I don't, so I think there is certainly there was certain amount of meanness, and she knew that Neera must have known that she's been deployed to counter Tulsi because of her, because of the faith they share. And I think I find it, uh, you know, I find it interesting that I have not seen that happen in other minority communities, where you have one person of the same faith so vehemently uh, tearing down the other person. I mean, there are political differences, there are disagreements, you're on the opposite sides of the aisle, but do you really need to be an a, an do you really need to be a pawn to to take down your opponent as viciously as Tulsi was taken down?
Like imagine another scenario where Rashida Talib is taking on and bad mouthing and abusing Ilan Omar. Imagine that scenario ever happening. But unfortunately, Neera did that to our own American Hindu lawmaker Tulsi Gabbard. And so this is a very good example of what not to do to your own people.
Yeah, and the reason we titled this segment of the show is that is Neera Tanden going to be tanked by Twitter? Is because we really, this is the place where uh, you know it's Neera Tanden's own tweets, and the role that Twitter has been playing of late in politics, right? I mean, starting with when President Trump first, the former President Trump first started using Twitter as a major mobilization tool, all the way to the way that Twitter was used to in Capitol Hill riots, and in 26th of January in India, where the rioters took over the Red Fort and put a non-Indian flag there, uh, to all the way to Neera Tanden. So we talk about Neera Tanden and Twitter. Now, Neera Tanden has been really. Do you know, Matsuda, that she sent out 88,000 tweets? I know you're a regular tweeter. How many tweets have you sent in last 10 years?
I haven't. I don't. I have to go back and look into Twitter and see how many tweets I have sent. I believe that it would certainly not be 88,000. I don't think
I,
it's that many.
I'm disappointed in your productivity there. You're not keeping up with Neera Tanden.
Well, Ajay bhai, unfortunately, I don't get paid to be an attack. Don't get paid millions of dollars to be an attack dog.
No,
So
but but I think she's doing it out of passion. I mean, 88,000. Nobody gets paid enough to do 88,000 tweets. Okay.
trust me, you might get paid enough to do 88,000 tweets if you're Neera Tanden.
uh,
You have to Ajay bhai, I know you are slightly removed from DC, but DC swamp is a place where things happen in millions of dollars.
I,
So
I I think she's doing it more for power than for money, but that's been my contention. But look at. So let me show you some of the tweets and give you an indication of why the American Hindu diaspora is not clamoring for to support her, and that maybe there is a lesson there. There's a lesson there for other Hindu politicians who want to, at some point in future, want to have Hindus come to their rescue. So the here are the three tweets. Okay, so first one on the left is the tweet that you can see is about Kashmir. And this was her response, where she said that I condemned last week. What she condemned was the India's abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, which gave special status to Jammu and Kashmir. And it was very discriminatory to minority Hindus, discriminatory to LGBTQ community over there, discriminatory towards women, discriminatory towards everything that you would consider to be, in today's day and age, fair and equitable. And it promoted the this narrative that India as a country should cease to exist as it does today. And so the current Indian government abrogated this temporary provision of Indian constitution and made it a state equal to any other, with the goal, eventual goal of making the state equal to any other state in India. Okay. And Neera Tanden came out against it. Now, this has been a core Hindu demand for last 70 years. And for Neera Tanden to come and to oppose it is something that, obviously is, in the Hindu community was considered to be fairly anti-Hindu. Then the second tweet is about VHP. Now, it is not about VHP America, but if it's about VHP in Bharat. But even though we are not the same organization and we are absolutely distinct, we have different set of issues and all that, but Hindus at a greater level, the organizations, not just VHP and VHP America, but a whole bunch of organizations who subscribe to the core Hindu philosophy, um, are sympathize with the stand that VHP, uh, you know, VHP takes, right? Um, and this conference, actually, that she's referring to is the World Hindu Congress. It was organized by Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, and Tulsi Gabbard was going to go there, and Neera Tanden actually blasted Tulsi for her desire to attend our own VHP America conference. She mentions VHP, but she actually means VHPA. That's our organization. Okay. And she said that Tulsi should not be going there because it's not progressive enough. Now, Neera doesn't know, and she should know, that the organizations that I was referring to that adhere to these common Hindu philosophies, whether in VHPA, were founded by the Hindu Dharma gurus, starting with Swami Chinmayananda as the first president, and Master Tara Singh and Muni Sushil Kumar, and a whole bunch of Hindu, and Shankaracharya of Kanchi. All these people, the eminent Hindu gurus, they
And
got
the Dalai
together,
Lama.
and Dalai Lama, of course, and Dalai Lama, all these prominent Hindu Dharma gurus got together and formed this organization. And then the organizations became global and they became independent and all of that. But the source of truth is these Dharma gurus coming together and trying to preserve and promote and protect the Dharma. And here is the American organization which adheres to this same philosophy of the Dharma gurus have given and formulated. Tulsi Gabbard being expressing her intention of attending the conference, and who comes around to tear her down? Neera Tanden. Why would you think that Hindus would go to the rescue of Neera Tanden?
No, that's why I said, Ajay bhai, that she willingly did these things. It's either from a position of complete ignorance, or even worse, from a position of informed vileness or informed negativity. So either way, whatever was the reason why she was doing this, she has been now betrayed by the very people who she was trying to appease. And I think the blocking of her nomination is a good example of why you should not be, for whatever reasons, for money or power, you should not be throwing your own people under the bus under for false reasons. I mean, we would love to engage her and actually share with her our narrative, our perspective, and some facts on some of the issues that she was talking about. Have an honest conversation, maybe a public conversation, and discuss Article 370. Have a public conversation and discuss why Hindus in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sikhs in Pakistan and Bangladesh deserve, and Afghanistan deserve to have refugee status in India. And is not very different from what her own President Biden has supported for Hindus and Sikhs in Afghanistan. So we are open to having that dialogue with her. But at the same time, it is quite apparent that she made a mistake on more than one occasion. And the saddest part is that the people she was trying to appease have betrayed her. And those are not Hindus.
Absolutely. So then, finally, the third example tweet that we have is about the CAA, and that goes back to what you were saying, and that is, here are the Hindus in America who are being attacked for standing up to the change in Indian Constitution, uh, which allows prioritized immigration, accelerated immigration to persecuted minorities from Pakistan and Afghanistan and Bangladesh, right? These are the people uh, who have been kidnapped from the home and forcibly converted. These are the people whose homes have been burned down. The temples have been have been either demolished. 90% of the mandirs in Pakistan have been demolished since 1992. And if we go back to 1947, that number is even much larger. So I think in that condition, there are a lot of people who are Pakistani Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists and Jains who want to leave these countries and the persecution and want to seek refuge in India. And that accelerated refugee status is all that CAA provides. And somehow the left and the Islamic narrative has become that it's a Muslim. This is giving protection. It is very similar to the laws that US has in its own constitution. And Utsada, in America, city after city is passing resolutions maligning the Hindus, putting Hindu kids at risk, putting Hindus who are working at 7-Elevens and motels in a more public facing places at risk. And Neera Tanden, instead of taking a pro-Hindu view, is taking a view that is anti-Hindu. I understand, as Ankush ji is saying online, that that Neera should educate herself. I agree. We have nothing against Neera Tanden. We think that even though she has publicly maligned us as VHPA, we still welcome her. We just want her to be more educated. And we just want to show her that, look, if you take a stand, if you take one step forward, we will take 10 steps forward to meet you. But take that one step, because we would like nothing better than someone like Neera Tanden, who is a Hindu, to be in a position of power. What do you think?
No, Jabhai, as I said, I completely agree with Ankush. She needs education, and we are happy to engage her. The saddest part is that she's even out of fear of the people who are ditching her right now. She's even afraid to engage us. That's how much she's trying to appease. So, it's not just Neera who has done this. There are many other American Hindu politicians who act out of fear of being ostracized by the much more powerful and much more richer Islamist lobby and the extreme left lobby in American politics, especially in the Democratic Party. and they sh- they try to take care of themselves by distancing themselves from their Hindu heritage and their Hindu-ness. And after having done so much, they still don't get the support, because what they don't realize is that the Islamists really don't care about her, Neera Tanden, or people like Neera Tanden. They are going to still use them, and at the end of the day, they it is doctrinal in their behavior that they will never support Neera Tanden. They might tactically use them and then do exactly what they are doing to her right now. So it is my advice to American Hindu politicians, that look at Tulsi, under despite being under so much pressure, never gave up her Hindu identity, and she paid the price for it. But despite that, she has earned the respect of many Hindu American members of the Hindu American community for being steadfast in her Hindu identity. I haven't seen that coming from many Indian American Hindus. Uh, Even though most people should know that Tulsi is not even Indian American. She's a Hindu nevertheless, and a very proud Hindu, probably better than most Indian Americans are.
Good. Thank you, Soda. So, um, Ankush Bandari ji writes that can we send her a formal meeting invite, and if she accepts, we should present her the facts. If she didn't accept, then we should email her the fact. I think that's an excellent idea, Soda. We should do it, right?
I believe we should. I believe we should, and I don't know how it will pan out, but yeah, I believe we should.
I think we should. Yeah, I think. Thank you. And Vanda Tiwari Sharma ji is saying that, replying to Ankush Bhandari ji, that Ankush Bhandari, she was pretending and she knows. Now, we really don't know what the inside scoop on this is. I'm sure that someday we will find out. So Vanda ji, you may well be right. Uh, we need to call on these people, and we need to figure out. And Vanda ji also said that we should do ghar wapsi for Neera Tanden. This is kind of interesting choice of words. So thank you, Vanda ji, for that. Um, so that I want to, it's not like, and when we say that it's a Twitter tank, so that her her nomination may tank her nomination. There's a lot more to it. It's just not about all about Hindus and Indians, right? She has um, uh, she has called on you know Mitch McConnell, the villain from Harry Potter movie. She has named. She has picked a major fight because she was supporting Hillary Clinton. She has a fight with Bernie Sanders. She has a fight with Senator Manchin's wife. She has picked a fight with just about anyone,
Senator
and
Manchin's daughter.
oh, sorry, Manchin's daughter, who was a Mylan Pharmaceuticals executive, and she has tweeted about Senator Susan Collins, and she has tweeted against Senator Murkowski, and she's like, 88,000 tweets can cover just about everyone. And I think there's some really good articles that have come out, so I don't need to rehash those articles. But basically, she was a very effective Twitter user, and that effective Twitter use is now coming back to kind of haunt her. So also my advice to everyone who uses Twitter that extensively is, be careful what you put on Twitter. At least in case of Neera Tanden, she found time to delete 1,000 tweets. I don't, and somebody, one of the major newspapers actually said that, how do you even go about deleting 1,000 tweets? Is there a tool that is available to find 1,000 tweets that you want to delete and in one shot delete them? Because that itself can take months, right? Or days at least. I mean,
I think
if you
I think
wade
she
through
probably spent
88,000
those days.
tweets,
I
what is
think she
that?
probably spent. See, this is what happens when you realize that what you have done actually is going coming back to haunt you. Uh, I guess she has nothing else to do at this point, at the cusp of such a big appointment, than to spend hundreds of hours deleting hundreds and thousands of tweets. So
Well, there has to be so. The good. I can just speak for myself, so that in some ways, I feel good that I didn't put too much, uh, not that I had anything negative to say about anyone, but even if I did, and I'm glad that whatever the initial thoughts may have been, the fleeting thoughts, I didn't tweet them out, because otherwise, it would be like, uh, clean up time, right? Because you know, who knows what it can lead to. So I want to I want to close this out. So that any final thoughts um, on this?
No, I think we have dealt with the topic in quite a bit of detail. We have about 10 minutes to finish our program today, so we should probably move on to the last two segments of
No,
our.
I last three segments. So last three segments.
Okay,
Don't
last
forget
two.
the good news.
Good news.
You know,
Sure, sure.
um,
We have about 10 minutes, so we
we have
should.
10 minutes. I think we should definitely make this segment a permanent segment. I know permanent segments require a lot of work, because you have to always kind of keep looking for something, but this one we cannot let pass. So there was a let me share my screen, and I'll talk to you about the good news of the week. And I was really happy to read this. So this is I don't know if you saw this particular news item. PM Modi cites Kashi Sanskrit cricket commentary in his Man Ki Baat. Now I'm not talking about PM Modi's Man Ki Baat and all that, but actually the fact that the cricket commentary was presented in Sanskrit. I remember the days when the cricket commentary for the first time uh, was presented in Hindi. And it was really fascinating to hear cricket commentary in Hindi. And now, cricket commentary in Sanskrit. It has taken us almost 73 years after independence to recognize that the soul, the heart and soul, not just the heart, but the soul of India is Sanskrit. And to actually make Sanskrit cricket commentary in Sanskrit, that to me is good news of the week. Sudha, your thoughts?
Well, I couldn't miss the irony that the so-called left liberal elite Indians who love cricket because it is a gentleman's game for the elites of the world, especially the British Raj, uh, will find it quite interesting that now a commentary is being given on elite people's game in the most elite language of the last 3 millennia. So here you go.
That is well put. That is really well put. So that I thank you for that. And also that the next segment that we have is the Hindu Seva Act of the Week. So that I want to once again nominate um, and Ankush Bhandari ji is saying Sanskrit is a mother of more than 15 Bharatiya languages. Um,
Hold on. Sanskrit is the mother of
I was
more than 15 Bharati languages. Sanskrit is the
exactly
mother of at least 35 to 40 Bharatiya Indian languages, and the mother of at least another 40 Eurasian languages,
Eurasian
including
languages.
German, Russian, Armenian, Turkish. Believe it or not, Turkish has been Arabized a lot in the last 1,000 years. Turkish, Persian, Pashto, Dari, uh,
Well,
Sindhi, and
yeah,
uh, and so Sanskrit, basically everything from Bali to Germany and Sweden has
exactly.
had some influence of Sanskrit on it, either in terms of the semantics, in terms of the root words, or in terms of the grammatical structure. So Sanskrit, I was having a conversation with my some friends in Armenia, in Yerevan, and it was brought to my attention that Armenian language is one of the most ancient languages in the Caucasus region. It has a lot of Sanskrit in it. They claimed that it is more than 50% Sanskrit. Ankushji, it is not just 15 Bharati languages. It's at least 100 global languages that have roots in Sanskrit.
Yeah, no, I was going to point out the same thing, and it's kind of funny that in today, in if you look around, the people like a professor at Rutgers University, Audrey Tuskey, who claims that she is a an expert in classical Sanskrit, and then that nobody most people in India also don't understand, and then she makes this anti-Hindu statements and writes books that are anti-Hindu and claims that because she knows Sanskrit better than anyone else. It's ironical because not only people in India, in one way or the other, speak a language that evolved out of Sanskrit, uh, but also even a day-to-day, thing like a cricket commentary can be broadcast. I know that Sanskrit news was broadcast in India since 70s, even maybe late 60s. Since 60s, probably the Sanskrit news was broadcast on All India Radio. And for someone who is trying to, evangelize Hindus, to claim that, hey, uh, you know that Indians don't understand Sanskrit and that's why they don't know their true history, is patronizing and condescending, and it's done nothing more than, it's just being done in the same way as, why Max Muller was translating the scriptures, which is basically to convert the Hindus. Having said that, so the Hindu Seva and Act of the Week. So the Hindu Seva Act of the Week is VHPA's own Support a Child program. And Support a Child program yesterday had a major fundraiser. It was in Hindi. It was Hasne Hasane Ki Sham, or an evening of laughter, with some really just, awesome, well-renowned, humorists and poets who presented this show from India, and was streamed live. And for those who missed it, uh, this show will be rebroadcast sometime in March. But uh, if you please go to the website supportachildusa.org. That's support a child USA, one word, supportachildusa.org, and you click on the pledge button. You click on the 2021 shows, and or you can just, just want to pledge, then just click on the pledge button and please donate. The goal for this year is 3,900 kids, 70 hostels in 20 states. So that just about 3 4 years ago, this program was supporting 700 kids. Okay, the goal for this year is 3,900 kids, and so that this is beyond anything that we can imagine. It is changing, if taking one child at a time and changing the entire life of that one child. Okay, it is way beyond what we can even comprehend. So this is the kind of work that VHPA does, Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America does, World Hindu Council of America does. This is the kind of impact on real lives that VHPA is having. And I cannot thank the team that is managing it enough for taking on this really, really noble task and working on it. So it's, I don't want to name a few names and not name the others and all that, but I must mention that Renu Gupta ji is leading this project, and a whole team. And it's not a bad idea to just click and show the team here, the US team, because these are the people who are making a real difference. So I want to recognize Renu Gupta ji, who is the Seva and Support a Child overall in charge. Jens Daftardar ji, who is playing a key role in most aspects of it. Anshul Agarwal ji, Neela Patel ji, uh, Deepak Sharma ji, Sangeeta Singh ji, and Neelam Jaiswal ji. This is the team. Just imagine, this team is changing the lives of 3,900 kids in India and providing opportunities that these kids never had. So, unless you have any comments, we can move on to the Hindu phobe of the week.
I think we should move on to the Hindu phobe.
And
We are
so Hindu
already
phobe of the week.
over
So
time.
that before I move to Hindu phobe of the week, I want to make a appeal for also for donation to Hindu Pact and Hindu Lounge. So if you like this show, if you like what we are doing every week, if you like the Hindu Dvesha webinar series, if you like the Hindu identity youth webinar series that we are doing, if you like the advocacy work that we are doing and the defamation work that we are doing, please go to hindupact.org, click on the donate button, and make a donation. It's really simple. You can even set up an automated payment of $5, $10, $20, $25, $100 a month. And it becomes really easy, and you're going to support a worthy cause right here in America. And with that, Utsoda, Hindu Folk of the Week. Now, this Utsoda is a really not the first one. And the way things are in Kerala right now, in the Indian state of Kerala, I, you know, I wish I could say that this would be the last one. A young RSS Swayamsevak, actually a pracharak in Kerala, Nandu, was brutally hacked to death in Kerala. And so he was a Mukhya Shikshak. He was a Mukhya Shikshak. The other companion who is now in a hospital in a very serious condition along with him was a pracharak whose right hand has been chopped off. So the pracharak's right hand has been chopped off, and Nandu was actually hacked to death in Kerala. There is news now that Kerala Hindus are just about have lost the majority status. And these are the kinds of things we talked about last week, where a Hindu, the procession taken out by the PFI, the Progressive Front of India, uh, a Islamic extremist Islamic group, paraded uh, some people dressed up as RSS Swayamsevaks in handcuffs. So I remember when I was a Vidyarthi Parishad Karyakarta in the early 80s, there was a Vidyarthi Parishad Karyakarta who was also hacked to death. And I think that the perpetrators of such crimes have never really been held accountable. And because of that, in places like Kerala and West Bengal, this kind of atrocity on Hindu workers, Hindu karyakartas, Hindu community activists continues. Your thoughts?
I think what the point that needs to be made here is that, as people who are immigrants from India, we understand the ground realities of what just happened in Kerala. It is not something that has happened for the first time. The radicalization of the Muslim population in Kerala has reached a point where now ISIS-like behavior is acceptable within the community. And the organization PFI, Ajay Bhai, that you brought up as an example for the event you just mentioned, where Hindus were paraded symbolically through the streets in the anniversary of Mupla massacre of Hindus by Islamists of PFI. It is this PFI which has been the largest recruiter for ISIS. Yes, I repeat, ISIS in the Indian subcontinent. So it is, for American Hindus who do not follow India or Indian politics, as American Hindus, it is my request, we don't have any leverage over policies and governments in India, but as observers of Hindus in India, we have a request for the government of India to take every possible steps, legal and constitutional, to ban PFI as an organization, if not for anything else, for the fact that they are one of the highest supplier of recruits to a global terrorist organization like ISIS, Islamic State. So that would be my request. And as I said, we live in America. We have no way to reach the Indian government or the Indian policymakers other than to mention it in our show here and write about it. So that's why I'm using the platform of this show to make an appeal to the Indian government to ban PFI. And that's also, I think that's why we have to talk about this particular Hindu hater of the week, which is
Yeah.
PFI.
And it's even more potent, Utsada, when these kinds of elements then join hands with people and groups that are funded by the likes of George Soros. And
Absolutely. And I think, Ajay bhai, we should have a whole show on George Soros and see how long that show lasts on Facebook platform before it gets taken down.
yeah, so much for freedom of speech, huh?
That would be a good test of how long George Soros's arms reach.
That's right. So I really want to pay tribute to the brave Mukhya Shikshak, Nandu. Condolences to his families. We know that his sacrifices will not go waste. The Hindu community will rise up to the challenge in Kerala and elsewhere and continue with the causes that he was promoting. And his efforts, his life will not go in vain, and neither will be that uh, of the pracharak whose hand has been chopped off. Um, we we will we will be their voices, and we will be their hands, and we will promote. We will continue with the causes that you know that they were propounding. So, with that, Utsoda, I want to thank you for joining on a somewhat somber note. We want to bring this show to an end. I want to thank all the viewers who listened in on this show. Um, I wish more people are calling, but I understand people are somewhat camera shy or microphone shy. But please do call in future. Uh, I want to invite you guys, everyone, to join again next Sunday. We come live. This is Hindu Lounge. It's brought to you by Hindu Pact, which is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America. We come live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, and we are live on Facebook, we are live on Twitter, and we are live on YouTube with the hosts of Utsav Chakravarti, who's the executive director of Hindu Pact, and Ajay Shah, that's me. Utsada, I am going to end this show, and I'm going to play the intro music one more time. So please, let's continue the streaming, and I will stream the music that we played at the beginning, specially composed for this show by Bharat and Padma Jairaman. So with that, thank you very much, and namaste everyone. Thank you for joining.
Namaste, everybody.